Someone asked me the other day privately what's the best martial art for self-defense. And honestly, this is going to turn into a different video about the similarities of combatives, such as what's taught in the U.S. Marine Corps, and karate, traditional karate, Okinawan karate, and my martial art of Tung Sudo, which is the way of the Chinese hand is what it translates to from Korean, as did karate originally. Okinawan karate originally translated into the China hand, which is the same thing as, the Tung Sudo translates into Tang, which means the Tang dynasty of China, Su meaning hand, and Do meaning way of, so way of the Chinese hand, and karate meant way of the China hand or Chinese hand, and karate do, of course, means way of. Do means way of. So what people need to understand is there are a lot of martial arts to choose from when one is selecting a martial art. There are various martial arts, and there are various purposes of different martial arts. Okay, so there's karate, which, this is the thing, what I want to point out is what the Marine Corps used to call dirty fighting in World War II is essentially what karate is. The only true purpose of karate is to defeat an attacker. That is the only essential purpose of original karate. Okay, it's the only truly essential purpose of Tung Sudo, although Master Huang Qi added a lot of philosophical things and stuff to where it becomes self-perfection as well as self-protection. However, what people don't understand is a lot of Tung Sudo instructors and a lot of Shotokan instructors and a lot of different karate instructors learned their martial arts in these Asian countries while they were stationed there, whether they were stationed in Japan or Okinawa or in Korea, etc. For example, Chuck Norris has the same Grandmaster as I do, Grandmaster Jay Chol Shin or Shin Jay Chol, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Shin, of course, if you're pronouncing it with Korean, the Korean way, it would be Shin Jay Chol, and if you're pronouncing it the American way, it would be Jay Chol Shin, because in Korean the surname comes prior to the regular name. But what's important to understand is the techniques of karate or Tung Sudo. If you're doing that, if you're being taught for self-protection, and I'm going to leave links in the description that show this. They're virtually identical to, like what my grandfather, when I was a kid, I was getting bullied by bigger kids. Like when I was in like 2nd grade or 3rd grade, I was being bullied by people in 5th or 6th grade. So my grandfather taught me what he called judo, okay? It's what he learned in the Army during World War II. Which it's a little bit of everything. It's a little bit of American boxing, it's a little bit of karate, it's a little bit of judo, it's a little bit of whatever, but ultimately it's dirty fighting. It's how to fight dirty, how to win at all costs, okay? And that's the same thing as karate, okay? So you will see, like, if somebody grabs you, like tries to choke you with both hands, you'll trap their arm and you'll choke them back, or you'll stick your thumb in their eye, or you'll grab them by the nose and throw them headfirst into the ground. There's a lot of techniques that are very, very simplistic to do, and you don't even have to be good at karate to do these techniques. So why am I not recommending something like Krav Maga or another combative? Well, the reason why is a lot of these, number one, people have heard my views on Krav Maga. I'm not a big fan of Krav Maga. I've yet to meet people that do Krav Maga in the United States that I would say are decent at fighting. And I'm not saying that everybody, I've just never met somebody yet, and I know people that have ranked pretty high in the Krav Maga ranking system through the seminars and all that. One of the problems with any martial art that's taught in a seminar fashion is that it seriously, you're missing so much, it's ridiculous. And this is the same thing with combatives. Like, you can learn if somebody grabs you, jam your fingers into their eyes, okay? You can learn if somebody grabs you, how to break their elbow, stuff like that. But if you're not doing this a bunch of times a week, you're not going to get good at it. And there's a lot of little things that come up, like distancing and timing and situational awareness, and a lot of things that will be covered over years worth of time. And any good karate school is essentially a university of karate. You are learning how to be a karate instructor at any good karate school. By the time you're about halfway up the ranking system at a good karate school, you probably should be able to run a class. In fact, running a class is a requirement, or at least used to be a requirement, of black belt certification at my school, and under the Karate Institute of America black belt graduation curriculum, it was necessary that you, to progress from Chodanbo, which means black belt candidate, to Dan, which means black belt, you had to be able to run a class. And this is necessary because, as I said, any good karate school, you are not just paying to learn how to defend yourself and stay in shape and things like that. You're paying for a certificate that is equal to a college degree in karate. Okay, in that system of karate, in any good karate school with any good sanctioning body, that is what you are paying for. So you are learning a lot more than these. Like in Krav Maga, you're learning basic stuff that might work. In karate, you're learning a whole variety of things. And karate is a complete martial art. What do I mean by that? Unfortunately, a lot of ways karate is taught these days is not as complete as it may have been in the past, especially in Okinawa. But you are taught fighting at a leg's distance apart. You are taught fighting at a knee's distance apart. You are taught fighting at a arm's distance apart, and you were taught fighting, at elbows distance apart. You're taught how to use every one of your fingers. You're taught how to use your elbows. You're taught how to use your fists. You're taught how to use your knees, your feet, your hips. You're taught how to use anything that can be used as a striking, like to strike with, your shins, okay? And you are taught how to condition these things and how to use them properly. Your head, okay? You are also taught how to inflict pain on people, how to grab people, how to even things like grabbing. If you can't grab an ear or a hair or a nose or a lip, you can grab somebody's face and pull, like the skin pulls that are and it doesn't have to be their face necessarily. It can be skin on their body or even their neck or things like that. You're taught so many little things that are going to be missing in a seminar setting that you should know, and you would know if you took an authentic course in karate. One of the things with combatives, such as the Marine Corps system that they teach in the Marines, is it is required to teach the absolute bare minimal that you need to know to kill your enemy. Okay? That's what you're being taught, generally speaking. I know they've updated the Marine Corps martial arts. I don't have the newest material on that. I know that there's a lot of punishing and non-punishing restraints and things like that, because unfortunately now our Marines are being used as police officers around the world. But the World War II era and Vietnam era Marine Corps combat training, it was literally you were taught the bare minimal tactics that were necessary to kill your opponent or disable your opponent. Okay? You're missing a lot that you would learn in karate. And I'm not even saying all of it's necessary. Like, I despise forms. I don't think forms are necessary. I do believe that what we have is one-step sparring. which is the application of, defense against a punch. And then we have certain grappling type techniques in self-defense and how to defend against a knife, how to defend against a club, how to defend against a pistol. These things are all necessary to know. These are necessary things to know. They do teach these in the Marine Corps, but imagine the difference between learning for a few weeks and learning a few times a week, okay, every week for 4 years. And then, of course, further, because you ideally would continue to learn the martial art that you're learning. Why don't I recommend grappling systems of martial arts for self-defense? I love grappling forms of martial arts. They really help build aggression. I've found them to build aggression. They build patience. They build a lot of patience, although all martial arts, every type of athletic endeavor builds patience, because if you're not patient, you're not going to succeed. Even if you're naturally gifted, eventually something is going to get difficult, and you'll fail at it if you're not patient with if you don't trust the system and trust the program and put trust in what you're learning and have patience in what you're learning, you're not going to progress. And I think that's a thing that a lot of people, that's why a lot of people wash out of martial arts programs, and why a lot of people do choose seminars. And seminars are fine, like Hapkido seminars, Judo seminars, Jiu-Jitsu seminars, Krav Maga seminars. These things are fine if you have a foundation in, say, karate, or even in Judo for that matter. But the reason that I'm not suggesting Judo or Jiu-Jitsu or anything like that as a system of self-defense is a lot of times these systems, now Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which I have just become aware of because I don't follow this stuff, they have started becoming more of a mixed martial art. They have started adding a lot of strikes and a lot of kicking and a lot of punching. Not at all schools, but I'm actually seeing Gracie videos where the Gracies are showing how to punch, how to do boxing routines, how to kick, things like that. So I think that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is becoming more of a complete martial art. Originally, Jiu-Jitsu was a complete martial art with kicking and punching and grappling and things like that. But a lot of times, what you have to understand is, if you're being taught to submit somebody, and you're not being taught to break somebody's elbow, or break somebody's shoulder, or dislocate their shoulder, or rip their throat out, or gouge their eyes out, when you're taught how to score points, you can see it with people that do like point fighting, like Kyokushin karate, which is not actually point fighting, it's full contact karate. But if they get hit in the head, they'll stop fighting or something of that nature, because you're not allowed to hit to the face like with a punch in that system of ring fighting. So when you're learning a system of combat that's being confined to a certain set of rules, whether it's Muay Thai or point fighting karate or boxing or wrestling or jiu-jitsu or judo, you tend to limit yourself to those rules, okay? Not all the time, but it becomes ingrained. Whereas in an authentic karate program, generally speaking, you're learning how to fight. You're learning how to fight for self-protection. You're learning how to incapacitate your attacker. It's different than fighting for points. Now, of course, pretty much all karate schools teach point fighting, because that's usually how tournaments are done, is we generally have point fighting tournaments. But, and generally all, and this is the thing, and generally all karate schools teach forms. Now, forms have something that are called bunkai. Now, bunkai is very similar to one-step sparring, and that's the application of the techniques in the form with a partner. And that will be in the description. Now, what you will see if you compare the Ilsusik and the bunkai, especially the bunkai, to, say, Marine Corps-style martial arts, which is also going to be in the description, you will see the marked similarities. What you will notice, though, is the karate is a little bit more complex. Why is karate more complex than what's taught to the Marine Corps? As I said, there's more time. There's more time to teach more than the bare minimum to kill your opponent. So in karate, you have a lifetime to learn these techniques. In combatives, like what's taught in the Marine Corps, you don't have a lifetime to learn these techniques. You have a couple weeks. Okay? Now, that being said, as I said, you don't have to be in the greatest shape either to put somebody out with these techniques. If you know karate, if you actually know real karate and you know how to fight and you know how to use your hands and feet, it doesn't take that much athletic prowess to mess somebody up. Okay? It really doesn't. However, like this is a situation people don't understand with me. Right now, I'm in some shape. I'm in okay shape, not great shape. Okay, I'm confident in my day-to-day life, etc., defending myself against a regular person, even a regular karate practitioner. I think I'd be pretty decent about defending myself against. I am not necessarily capable of competing in a full contact karate match or something of that nature. And why is that? Well, because as I said, you don't necessarily have to be good at karate to be good at defending yourself with karate techniques. And why is this? What does it mean to be good at karate? Well, to be good at karate requires extreme flexibility, better than average strength. Okay, you need to be strong, you need to be fast, you need to be agile, you need to be flexible, you need to have focus. Okay, mental focus. These things are all built over time in consistent and diligent practice and dedication to karate. Okay, when you don't practice the full spectrum of everything taught at karate, you start to lose some of these things. This is why actually, until I go to South America, I've actually continued to just simply do my calisthenics program, my martial arts style calisthenics program, which is similar to was done in the Marine Corps or the Coast Guard. I've decided to just keep doing that and focusing on karate, focusing on my practice of karate. And the reason why is I've noticed that, my kicks aren't as high as they used to be, and they should be, because I'm not necessarily inflexible, but I'm not stretching like I should be. Okay? I'm not doing what I need to do to be prepared to perform at an adequate level, and the reason why is I've not been dedicating myself to the full spectrum of karate techniques. And by that, with me, I primarily dedicate myself to the kicking, the punching, of course practicing the different techniques. I don't have a partner to practice the different grabs and reversals and things like that, but I know how to do them. But it is different. It's different to know something than it is to do something. And the thing is, your ability wanes over time if you don't do it. And this is the difference, the primary difference between going to a dedicated karate program and taking some seminars, or maybe not dedicating yourself fully. I never really got good at karate until I was taking an adult class in the morning, an adolescent class in the evening, followed by another adult class in the evening. So I was taking karate for 3 hours a day, 6 days a week. I did this for 2 years, and that's the only time I really got good at karate. Okay? Anything less didn't seem to be enough. Okay? Some people need to do it more than others, and a lot of people do not have the dedication or the time or the willpower to come home after a day of work and stretch out or things like that. You go to karate 3 times a week, which is good, but there are supplementary exercises and also doing the things. See, one of the biggest problems that people have in karate is the more mental aspects, like remembering the forms, the sequenced movements, the what we call hyungs in Korean, learning the different techniques such as the ilsusik, because you have to know them in number. If somebody calls out number 1, you have to do number 1. If somebody calls out number 45, you have to do number 45. If somebody calls out number 15, you have to do number 15. This is just the principle. These need to be understood. These need to be understood up here and able to be performed. Now, a lot of people have problems with the hyungs, myself included. I hated hyungs. I hated forms because to me, it seems like interpretive dance, honestly. But they're necessary to progress in the belt system. Why don't people know hyungs? Why don't they understand the forms? Why can't they do the forms? Because they're not practicing at home. They're not doing the forms they need to know to pass the test. They're not doing it 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 times a day. Okay? And that's the thing is, karate really requires dedication, but the payoff is much greater. Okay? Now, the hyungs, I think I've did a video on this. The benefit of doing forms is forms actually does teach you, it conditions you with plyometric type movements. It conditions you with flexibility. It builds flexibility. It builds strength in the legs. It builds focus, and it builds concentration and perseverance, because once you persevere. And these are necessary things in order to succeed in the martial arts. And that's all for this video. I think I'll leave it at that. But yeah, if I was to say what martial art would be ideal for self-defense, I would recommend something like American Tang Sudo or Tang Sudo, or traditional Okinawan karate like Shotokan, Goju Ryu, some type of traditional karate type martial art that teaches a full spectrum of techniques. And that's all for this video.